Wisconsin Congressman and former Republican VP candidate Paul Ryan is used to name-calling, both good and bad. He has been called delusional and a clown by the left and dubbed the intellectual center of the House Republicans by the right. What Ryan is not used to, however, is a challenger. But when he runs for re-election next year, he won't be running unopposed. Probably. Amar Kaleeka, whose father was murdered last year in the Sikh temple shooting outside of Milwaukee, plans to challenge Ryan in 2014. Kaleeka told the AP there is a fever in the nation, and specifically in this district, for our leaders to stop playing politics and to do their jobs. All I want to do is bring democracy, a government of, for, and by the people, back to America. Kaleeka said he will formally announce his candidacy next month. Joining me now is Amar Kaleeka, who is a filmmaker at Never Ending Light Productions. Amar, thanks so much for joining the show. And I have to ask you, you are a documentary filmmaker, and you are set to run against one of the most prominent Republicans in the country. What is bringing you into this fight, and do you think you can win it?
I absolutely think I can win it, or I think a lot of people can win it, because I think Paul Ryan has taken 13 years and done his best to demolish the middle class, and his home district is feeling it. Me being from a middle class descent and an immigrant, I know it best. And I've seen people go through the hardships that his stances and his party's stances have caused.
Let's talk a little bit about your personal experience. You mentioned your immigrant background. Your father was slain in the Sikh temple shooting, and our condolences for that. I wonder to what degree that is going to be part of the narrative, and to how far you think you can push the issue of gun safety reform in Wisconsin, where I believe 47% of residents favor stricter gun laws, and 43% of residents say the law should be kept the same.
I mean, two different questions there. The question about my father, it's absolutely heavy on my mind. It's heavy on a lot of the community's mind. When he was murdered by a neo-Nazi, a white extremist who formerly served in the army, it opened my eyes to a number of missteps that our nation might be making, one of them being our gun laws. And 100% background checks is nothing that should be debated. It's almost should be a mandatory thing if we want the guns out of the hands of criminals and people who are clinically insane, or in this case, with the person who came into our temple and shot it up. He had multiple DUIs. He was kicked out of the army. A background check would have effectively kept that gun out of his hand.
Amar, I'm going to bring in our panel here. And Mark, Paul Ryan, setting aside the gun safety reform issue for just one moment, Paul Ryan has an interesting history in Wisconsin. He did not win re-election by as wide a margin as he has in previous years. In 2008, he got 64% of the vote. In 2010, 68%. In 2012, 55%. Do you think he is vulnerable? And do you think the more he is sort of the face of the GOP in Washington, that helps or hurts him back in Wisconsin?
Well, it's a balanced district. It's kind of a purple district, and his leadership role cuts both ways in the district. He's not a prominent member. Obviously, he was on the ticket. He's not a prominent member who forgets his roots. He goes home a lot. He travels around the district a lot. But if, for instance, he takes a leadership role in talking about changing entitlements, I think that could be an issue with a lot of voters in that district. And it's going to be interesting to see, again, if Congressman Ryan is willing to risk his job to try to do what he thinks is right, and if the president's willing to give him cover if they do strike a big deal. I think that he's also got to consider whether he wants to run for president, and it may be that calculus gets kind of tied up in 2014 as he thinks about whether to run or not.
Kathleen, does Paul Ryan could Paul Ryan be a serious challenger in 2016?
Yeah, I think he could be. I really do. He's got he's got strong support within the party, even though he's been sort of on the margins during most of this recent debate. Strategically,
yes, as is Marco Rubio.
Yeah, exactly. He's highly respected, and he does, as Mark says, he has. He's done a very good job of keeping up with his constituents. He has a warm presence, a well-run home office, those kinds of things. The sense within the Republican Party of him is that he's matured and seasoned as a result of the presidential run. I think he'd have a good shot. I really do.
Amar, I want to ask you about Wisconsin and the constituents you're talking about potentially representing. What is the view of Washington at this point? I mean, I don't don't want to denigrate public service because I think a lot has been done to vilify people who work in government. At the same time, how much do you think this whole shutdown and the debt ceiling fight, that's going to play into House races, and specifically potentially the one you're entering into in 2014?
Well, I mean, with Paul, I've met him multiple times now. I've met with his office multiple times, and everything you guys are saying, where he is a lot more out of touch with his constituency than you guys are saying, because multiple people will walk up to me. He was just picketed at his own at a factory that's shut down in the area, and I think everything that's going on in government right now, people are sick of the politics and the games that are going on, and they're seeking leadership, essentially because they're the ones losing the money. They're the ones the people in the middle class are the ones that are losing the job opportunities. The people that are in Washington, and I've been there plenty, I think they're very much out of touch.
Amar Kaleeka, potential challenger to Congressman Paul Ryan, thanks for your time. We look forward to the latest developments on your end.